I'm fed up. Fed up, I tell you. Fed up with manufacturers taking away stuff that works. No, I'm not talking about the 3.5mm jack this time. I was right in Phone Show 355 and I'm right now. I may use Bluetooth 80% of the time, I do. But when I need to plug in, I want a jack there and not have to fumble for possibly lost dongles. No, this time I'm talking about capacitive fingerprint scanners, as used for the last 4 years on just about every smartphone over £100 on the planet. They're cheap to put in, fast in action, don't get in the way of other components, they're reliable, they shrug off scratches, and so on. We've all used fingerprint scanners like this, and they work in terms of authenticating to let the phone know that it's us. And yes, this is a Windows 10 mobile device. It's got a fingerprint scanner. There was only one of these made in the mainstream. And no, it doesn't matter if they're on the rear of the phone, on the side, a la Sony or the new Galaxy S10e, or even on the front. Capacitive sensors work. So yes, replacing capacitive sensors with tech under the screen, I'm not sure which manufacturer to blame here, so I'll call out the most likely mainstream offenders. Huawei with their Mate 20 Pro, which I reviewed in Phone Show 350, was very high profile about their optical in-screen sensor. Effectively, your fingerprint is illuminated from underneath by the display itself and its image compared with what's on record. Which sounds okay, but the act of recognition involves lighting up the display, which is a usability disaster in the bedroom or cinema, for example. Plus, optical recognition seems to be hit and miss. On the Mate 20 Pro, I was seeing 50% accuracy or so at best, and that's not good enough. Now, the Mate 20 Pro was saved because it had an iPhone 10 style face scanning system, professional, and this worked fabulously, so you could just ignore the flawed in-display scanner. Not so much the OnePlus 6T, another high-profile adopter of in-display optical finger scanning and with the same issues, yet without a foolproof, highly secure face scanner to stand in for it. So many reasons why the OnePlus 6T was worse than its predecessor, the wonderful 6. And now we have the new Samsung Galaxy S10 with an ultrasonic fingerprint scanner under its screen. In this case, a 3D map of your fingerprint is created after ultrasonic bombardment. And it has the huge advantage that it works in the dark, i.e. at night your screen can come on subtly after authentication with your chosen dark theme, again in the bedroom, in the cinema. And I've used the Galaxy S10 and the S10 Plus at the launch, and the ultrasonic finger scanner works pretty well. It only takes a second or so at most, you get a nice animation, and it's something like 90% reliable. Pretty well. I guess my point is not that in-display fingerprint scanners suck, they kind of work. But they're not needed at all. They're replacing tech which was simpler, cheaper and more reliable. What on earth was wrong with capacitive scanners? Are manufacturers that desperate to have authentication on a full screen front? Now there is the use case of unlocking without picking the phone up from a desk or table, but that's just about the only advantage. Everything else is disadvantageous, I contend. But let's assume that Samsung's new system, Ultrasonics, is the way forward and that everyone adopts it. Then someone drops their phone and cracks the display glass. We've all seen friends and family living with such cracks, especially when repair costs for AMOLED screen phones can be sky high. Tests have shown that a crack across the display can really mess up the ultrasonics, meaning then that your only secure method of authentication is out of action until you get the display repaired. So you'd be back to entering pins and passwords until then, which does suck. I don't want to seem like a curmudgeon here, I really don't. I'm not against all new tech, but I do think the kinks should be worked out of the new tech before the old tech is removed. Now, in fairness, Samsung has been tweaking its algorithms and the ultrasonic scanner has been getting better, but it's still going to be a wrench after the perfect 100% reliable, 100% rugged finger authentication on the Galaxy S9 Plus and the Note 9 and many, many other existing Android phones. Anyway, you have been warned. Despite the S10 range's other incremental improvements, I suspect my personal smartphone will remain the older Galaxy S9 Plus, shooting this, which I can get into without a second thought with one tap and which will carry on working even if the phone itself takes a tumble and gets its display cracked. Heaven forbid. Maybe I got out of bed on the wrong side this morning, or maybe I'm right. Comments welcome, and we'll read the best ones out on Phone Show Chat Podcast at the weekend.